Hello, welcome back, everyone. Anyone. Someone in the void. Wow, that's early. Hello, welcome. I have indeed played the Fallout games. Do this. See those. So I'm in the wrong mode. I like the AV8. It has a lot of acceleration to it, so it lets you make up for your mistakes very easily. Once I found the props that worked for me, it's going pretty well. I like this one quite a lot. We could do something a little different, working on unlocking some more in this, not sure what else to call it, but heavy fighter tree. There we go. Using a bomber, no thanks. Okay, so just 2 battles where I destroy at least one. I guess so. I like the speed on them. I like that they can get there quick. It's got a good zoom. But I'm not really certain of the point of the interceptor class. Like, where should I be focusing my efforts? Should I focus on taking down bombers, or should I focus on taking down their escorts? So getting to start in the air is pretty sweet.
Attention to the designated grid zone. Yes. Privacy. Defend the D-point.
Usually go for little column A, little column B. And on this one at least, I decided the best loadout was just more machine guns. Felt appropriate. It's not as funny as the A1H with the 8 extra guns on it, but it's pretty good.
Negative.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I can agree with that.
Attacking! Take him down. Attacking!
They got him. Good.
Launching an attack.
One thing I do notice with this plane, at least, is in the cockpit view, the visibility in the upper section is wonderful, but the anything below, and especially to your side, is terrible. You can't see a thing. Guess I'll go with these ones. To burn off a little bit of energy. I get the one. I can't. I didn't even realize I was that close to his airfield. So that didn't go well. For anybody that wants to join, here's the thing. I'm sure most people watching already play. Okay, I did set it to it. It's a neat looking map. Yeah, it's definitely a good idea to climb early.
Attention to the map.
Played like that a lot at first when I got the AV-8A, and it worked very well for me for quite a while. I was usually able to get 1 or 2 kills playing that way. I would usually take off, throttle down 93%, go to an altitude of about 8,000 meters, and then just wait a moment and dive down. You know, that's probably a good part of it. Oh, I didn't hit him. There we go. Better. It really do be like that. You kind of just swoop down like a hawk, unleash your 2 missiles, and there you go, 1, 2 kills. Then I started carrying the 2 bombs on it just because the payout in Silver Lions was better, to drop 2 bombs off on the targets and then try to engage and get 1 to 2 kills with the missiles or guns. That's the biggest weak point, I think, with that plane is there's a real lack of ammo. That's at least 1 more. 2 kills.
Launching an attack.
Attacking.
Got me. Got 2 though. Well, part of the issue is there was such a change in doctrine to how bombers get used, and it's not represented well in the game. Or even like how the role of the bomber was being slowly replaced by things like the cruise missile. Or being merged more with strike aircraft. I didn't know the 105 didn't get flares. Oh my god. That just seems cruel. Got chaff. Is that all I get? Just chaff? That's terrible. It's not even marked as a bomber. And like, there are bombers they could add. At 10.0, that's crazy. I guess sometimes you just want to fly your favorite plane, no matter how bad it is. And if that, unfortunately, is your favorite, you're gonna have to accept that you die a lot.
Attention to the designated grid square.
Maps still feel big. That field, that slapdash job. Was it you? I was thinking about getting everything hooked up, play simulator mode, but I think I need to practice for a hot minute just to get the controls functional. got too close. I'll get from that as a kill assist. Almost there. I do find the distinction between the two, playing air in air RB and playing air in ground RB. It's very different. I unfortunately do not have any vehicles at a high enough rank I can take
Attention to the map.
some of my later jets with me. Hello there, welcome.
Attention to the designated grid zone.
Since the highest ranked thing I have is
Awesome.
the XM1, and I think that's 9.3. Yeah, I was just talking about Sim. I need to just hook my stuff up and get it working.
Attention to the designated grid square.
I would have played it in Sim with just the mouse to see how much is involved in takeoff and landing versus DCS or this in realistic mode. And it doesn't seem like it's a lot more. That's for sure. Turn engine on. Make sure flaps are set. And be careful on your throttle. Lancaster, is that the one that got the really big bomb, like 8,000 pounds? That's good to know, at least. Wait, I am the closest one. Oh, true. True. I would like to try more ground sim as well. I think that has a lot of potential. Not being able to know who has, without the nameplates over them, you have to pay more attention. Okay. Not sure what he was signaling for, congratulating me. That's a lot. That's significant. I'm still building up my reserves after buying the F-14. Now feeling I should have, well, no, I actually would have to buy it anyway to buy the 14V. Now for helicopter, do you use a stick and throttle for that, or are you playing with mouse and keyboard?
Heading to the base.
Somebody, cover me! Awesome! Cover me!
Just a little more effort, and victory will surely be ours.
You got me. Nice. The parts I have right now are a track IR, stick, NXT, Gladiator, and my throttle is a TWCS, which feels like a pretty standard build from what I was seeing on a lot of people. Because in terms of throttles, it doesn't feel like you need a ton, but to get into nicer throttles gets expensive very fast. But you feel spending on a stick is the better investment of the two if you have to buy two. I do wish I had a pair of rudder pedals for it, but I haven't found anything I liked the looks of, because anything at the low tier looks like, you know, plastic. And small is some of them. They just seem obscenely small. And you don't start getting into anything decent until about the $200, $250 range. G-suit? Oh man, I'd love to have that one. How hard, and now this is actually a question I've had regarding that specific one. How hard was it to get the throttle idle position to actuate correctly with the game? Like, was it just a plug-in and it worked? Or how much fiddling did you need to do to get it working? So, like, trying to hit the throttle idle position with my throttle is very difficult because it's a linear rail, and so any amount of minor movement will cause it to change. Okay, I see. So sometimes during startup, I still feel the need to use a button for throttle to idle. Okay, I see. There aren't really much for allies right here.
Launching an attack.
Yeah, and I'm very interested in future building like a proper sim pit. I think that would be a lot of fun. I've done smaller stuff like control panels for Kerbal Space Program, things like that, but I'd like to do something that would be trying to replicate something. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Just gonna fly straight at this yak.
here.
And there goes my tail. Flip. Flip. Yeah, I think ideal setup, what I would do is I would have a computer only for that. It would make it easier to, instead of having to hook it up and unhook it, it would just stay that way. But I was interested in like replicating a F-16 design because I think it makes it a little bit easier where it has the full bubble canopy, that you don't need any overhanging elements. I keep looking at them, but it's right a little bit out of the price range. And I feel like if I went with one right now, I would still just buy a Steam Index. Because the tracking on it seems to be better at the moment for the price. There are some features that I like about some of the other competitors that's coming to bear. And personally, I'm just hoping Steam releases an updated index with those features, such as the one that tracks like what your eye is looking at, so it knows what to focus the view on. I think that's such a great idea just because it cuts down on computing load. It doesn't need to render anything that you're not looking at. Yeah, if I get VR, War Thunder is definitely one of the things I'm playing. That's true, with a flight sim sort of thing where I'd just be seated to a chair. Yeah, that's kind of how I've been feeling on it as somebody with a lot of experience in tech. It's felt like it's on the edge of greatness, is probably the best way to put it. It's almost there. It's really close, but not quite. And so dropping the money on it feels even more of a sort of question. It'd be like getting in early with augmented reality glasses. It's just, no, that's got at least another 5-10 years on it before they're actually what we want them to be. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt a lot about them as well. A lot of it is proof of concept or gameplay demos, maybe even good games, but anything that is what we would look at as a AAA title in terms of amount of artwork put into it, cinematography work, anything of that nature. Because there's a lot in VR that has not been explored. Yeah, I've only got a 3060. So that's not gonna happen. I could probably run plenty of other games in VR, but that's not gonna be one of them. Maybe I'll play BMS Falcon in it. That might be a little easier. Yeah, I only recently updated my graphics card, and my previous one was a 970 I had bought used from a coworker at some point.
We're losing.
I'm not sure how to get out of something like this. It just seems like there's no really good way. They really were. They were an excellent set of hardware. This thing is so weird to me. This twin Mustang. I'm gonna try staying lower level this time.
Attention to the map.
The XP-55, that's such a strange looking... Such funny looking aircraft.
Attention to the map.
It'd have to be a real perfect cut. I wonder, like, perfect slice straight down the center. I feel like maybe you'd have to clip the wings a little bit back as well at the same time. But maybe it'd fly.
Attention to the map. No.
side, but a favorite feature of mine in some games is where they let you spin the character around in a character screen and they get physically nauseous from it. It's very funny. There you go. Oh, there he is. Completely missed. Good job.
The enemy's getting closer to victory.
Hello, what?
Oh, I just did bad. That's all that happened there. I did so bad, they don't want me to fly that plane anymore. I take out for a spin that I don't use. Oh, 144 points left on this. Let's do this. And then unlock it. What's the difference between these two? This one has guns. Okay, has guns. This one has guns. Okay? That doesn't help. 4 13.2 millimeters. 4 13.2 millimeters. What's the difference here? They're very similar. The 1 second mass burst is different. And the repair cost is different. I'm also trying to stabilize the schedule in thinking of doing naval in the mix during the week. I'm trying to figure out what day to do it on. That would allow me to do 3, 3, and 1. I was thinking about doing it on Wednesday, and then doing the 3 and 3 on the front and back of the week. That would allow one weekend day for each air and ground. I do not know enough German or Scandinavian to know which is which here. But I feel like I remember seeing there's a good amount of overlap. Maybe if it's got more of the double dots, it's Swedish. Naval is different, and there is some fun to be had there. It also allows you to use naval vehicles more, like aircrafts that have torpedoes. So you can use those against players. I've heard that it's a decent way to make Silver Lions, but it is a slower game for sure. The thing that I like about it is I used to play a lot of World of Warships, and when I came to War Thunder, I tried out the naval in this game, and the big differences between them, I can say, is that World of Warships has a lot more punch and cinematic effect to firing and naval combat in general. It doesn't look as good or sound or feel as good in War Thunder, but the underlying system and mechanics and systems modeling is much better in War Thunder. There's a lot more parts of the ship that are modeled, and if they get hit by a shell, they can be disabled. They can cause your vehicle to tilt to one side. You can't aim at a certain angle anymore. So War Thunder has a much better systems modeling for it. If they added a bit more to the graphics and sound department, the feel of it, it could be a lot more fun.
We're ahead of the enemy.
Excellent.
Everybody just taking shots at it. It's also one of the weird areas nobody's done really modern vehicles for. Like, it's not... in terms of missile cruisers, things like that. Yeah, I remembered that. Changes in how aircraft carriers are used, anything else.
We're winning.
True.
Look out!
Is it? Wait. Well, I survived. I love these maps for air, and like these are so much better than a lot of the maps that we have at high-end play. There's so much more detail, the cities look far more realistic. Like, let's be honest, the cities look really silly in a lot of the high-end maps. It's a lot, you would have to redesign how you do it, and it's part of the issue they're going to experience with high-level play in a lot of vehicles, is modern combat is a lot more than just the weapons, it's a lot of electronic warfare as well. And trying to properly implement that is not easy.
Returning to the
Go away.
airfield.
That way.
Attack the enemy.
Wait a minute, I got plenty. I don't need to go back. I'm just out of bombs, and I don't need those. Even like changes towards, because I think one of the biggest changes that occurs as we move towards modern aircraft is the integration of communication systems between them all, allowing to know where each other is, all of these sorts of features. Even just being able to communicate much quicker and easier. You shot at me. That ain't gonna do much. Pyromeski, I think it's called. It has a lot of influences from German designs, but apparently it is actually completely Swedish built, I believe. I've recommended it sometimes when it comes up in DCS as one of the planes and things that is missing from that game is players playing as air traffic, players playing as AWACS. It is Finnish, so Finnish built, but it's pretty good. I like it. But having players as AWACS and other systems, I think, could be a lot of fun. No air brake. And burn it off.
Attacking!
Be too fast for my gears.
Effort and victory will be ours.
Just land it. Come on.
Well done. Well done.
That's what I've heard, is sometimes it does break pretty frequently. I'm waiting for once we see a new upstart come onto the scene when it comes to this type of work, because both War Thunder and DCS are like 10 to 15-year-old engines. That is concerning, but I could see that. Second best would be what? Kerbal Space Program? To research out of any of these. I don't know any of them. A21? I think this one's a bit more of a heavy attacker. Okay, I'll grab that one. Alright, let's see if we can get a kill with the F-14. Considering this is all I got. You'd have to... I feel like the only way you'd be able to do it and get away with it is you would need to approach it not as a... everybody's plane is built in this, but focus on just replicating one really, really well that's very close to modern, and starting from that foundation and just working with that. I know, but I hear from plenty of people that the main reason they're still here is because of there is no real alternative. And I think an alternative, because like the only alternatives to this are stuff like World of Tanks or World of Airplanes or whatever the hell their other ones are besides World of Warships. But those are more arcade than arcade mode in this game. Like, they're silly levels of arcade. But there's no real room for that. There's no real other contenders in the pseudo-realism department. Like, DCS is trying to go for full realism as close as possible, and War Thunder kind of fits a pseudo-realistic model. Kind of like old-school Battlefield realism mode. It would have to do something different. It would have to have a very compelling reason to bring people in. And especially with War Thunder is beginning to fill out the top end of what they can really do and have it not be completely speculative. Like, adding the F-16 Block 50 might be about the furthest they go when it comes to the F-16. And so a lot of right now, they just need to do is backfill the other spots for things. Like, if they just sat, they could easily just sit and polish the game for a couple of years if they wanted to, and turn it into an exceptional game. But yeah, it's hard to know. And the other thing is sometimes you just don't even know that's what you were looking for in a game until it's shown to you the first time. And you're like, wow, that is the thing I've been looking for, and I had no idea that's what I was looking for. Oops, I want to turn off that so I can use my bore sight instead. I prefer using this. I feel like that's really risky to do, just because you risk alienating the simmers that are going to want things to be more realistic. Now, you can take a realistic approach to designing future stuff. And there's a few games that do try to do that. I love them a lot. But it's very hard to get right in a way that makes sense. Because of how technology changes, we don't really know what future tech is going to look like. Everybody's idea of what future tech looks like is always proven a little bit wrong. Yeah, my mind immediately went to, like, Elite Dangerous. Bleeding! Uh-oh, there it goes. I haven't really found a good space sim that hits me just right in a long time. I think the last one I played was No Man's Sky. It's like, there's a lot there, but it all feels very theater-esque. Like, it exists only for the camera, it doesn't really exist as a natural ecosystem. True, that would be another benefit. It's kind of like how Ace Combat does it. Yeah. The issue of balance when you're trying to balance actual things is difficult to pull off and will always leave people angry. Yeah, it almost feels like watching the Cold War happen again, because like the tech they introduced to counter it ends up like a lot of the tech that was, and then it ends up with the same problems that happened, and it's just watching history repeat itself. Yep, it's definitely one of the problems, but I think, well, it's almost like, I guess part of the issue is that real life itself becomes marketing for such things. Because we see F-14, we want to fly F-14. Why did we see F-14? Because it is used in other media, because it's used by the military. Anything else? Because sweepy wings go sweep. Maybe Ace Combat, but with realism, is what we're looking for. Somebody just needs to take the Ace Combat ridiculous world and just add a big dose of pseudo-realism and simulation combat to it. Let me attach a laser to the front of my F-16. I want to burn a hole straight through the air at them.
We're ahead of the enemy.
A lot of blips on the radar. A lot of blinks. It's not it. It's not what I want. It's not what I want either. Oh. Yep, and the same issue kind of happens on the US side too. Because, like, realistically, you're using their intellectual property when you represent it in your game. I mean, maybe there is something to what you're saying with just doing something made up, but trying to still make it a simulator. It would give you so much leeway with things, because you could even adjust things like the physics of that planet that you're on. Like, oh, the atmosphere there is 20% that of Earth's, therefore our missiles behave differently. That's it. Oh, could be. I was talking from the copyright on weapons, like H&K, Browning, any of those companies. Small arms. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's actually something that games from, like, the Tom Clancy series and early Call of Duty were able to take advantage of, because most other game companies were not using the real names. They were usually making up a name instead, and then making something that was an approximation. It would depend. I feel like if the US cared that much, we'd probably see an Americanized version of this game start popping up so that they could push their own version. I know, things like that get weird sometimes. Take a pot shot, didn't get it. Yeah, that one's definitely interesting for sure. Somehow that got him. It's way too close. Yeah, the Red Cross being copyrighted, definitely a weird one. But you can kind of get it where they're coming from. And I think people have adapted well enough to it. Because basically what happened is everybody just changed over to using a green cross instead. You know, green became the symbol of health instead of red. I got 700 points. We'll get there eventually. Just for another set of 9Ds at 11.7. Let's see. I feel like doing. Oh, hey, I can get another point in this. Where am I at here? On that. Where am I at on research? 10K. I am just gonna finish that out by being super lazy and just using this. Maybe with this? Do I risk that or use it for tomorrow? I'm gonna use it tomorrow. I can agree with that. At some point, it's almost like it becomes a Creative Commons. Public use symbology. Like, why we even associate a plus with health in the first place? You know, why not associate it with a minus sign and instead it's like taking away the bad? It's all kind of ways you can represent it, but for some reason we stuck on plus. Oops. I do not want that. Yeah, there's other weird ones I think that pops up, like, I think Kevlar is like a trademark. I always forget how fast this plane is. Okay, I must have hit this one on the far right. Try to at least. What do I got? I think it's those 9Js. No, I don't believe they are. I don't know what they are though. I wish there was an easy way in game to check what my loadout was, because I forget. I mean, a bigger part of that discussion is really just that we've let the idea of copyright go on for way too long. It's way too long from what it was intended to be. But we're talking about it was created 100 and something years ago? 120? I wouldn't exactly call that a tool for the digital age. Just let me drop the bombs. Thank you. And now let me kill 2 of you. Please. Still alive somehow. Oh, not for long.
Somebody, cover me!
Couldn't do it.
Destroy the target! Affirmative.
That do be how it be. That's what I was doing. Yeah, I think at some point all kinds of things come into question with what has changed from automation, computation. Just, this is not the same world anymore in any way. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, though, as companies begin to decouple from human leadership. Because I think that's just an inevitable thing that will happen. It'll be easier for them to manage themselves, and with humans being the way they are, they will have seen enough examples of people coming in and ruining a company trying to make a few bucks for themselves. If a company is self-aware, then the company is going to self-preserve in that sort of instance, and would likely not take too kindly to a corporate person trying to destroy it. Well, it's going to be a general issue in everything when it comes to the arts. It's kind of like the idea, nothing is actually original. All things are just mutations on things that had come before. The memes that we have today are mutations of the memes that were yesterday. And you keep going back far enough, and that's just human intelligence. It's all been memes the entire time. The way in which we share data with each other. Yes, and that's what would be so interesting about giving self-control to a company, is how would they then feel about such a thing, an arrangement like that?
Our victory
I feel like they wouldn't be that happy about it. Because it goes counterintuitive to survival. It takes favor because of the greed of humans, is what I would argue. Whereas a corporation or machine much longer lived isn't necessarily as concerned about such things. A mechanism or system as complex as that usually outlives us. The biggest issues they usually end up facing is whoever's in charge of it at that time. It's like, look at your various electric companies. Yep, I think you're right on that. And a company, in feeling that way, would probably feel a need to preserve the relationship and trust it has with the humans that use it.
Attention to the designated
So it's really at every issue, once you break it down, the real issue is the humans we allow at the top.
Attention to the designated grid zone.
Attention to the designated grid zone.
Because, like, yeah, the idea of getting something like a Philosopher King is great, fantastic, leads a golden age, all that stuff. But the reality of it is, those come along so infrequently. Is it really worth the risk?
Yes!
I wonder if that was partly caused by a lack of communication then. Because of the inability to communicate quickly. You know, things like the telegram were still fairly new. Things just didn't happen as quickly, so you focus more on a long-term effort. But I don't know. I think there's still instances of people thinking blindly, but it could just be a lack of communication made them think longer. You know, it's like a company that's actually looking for long-term survival would be looking to fill an appropriate niche, form a long-lasting relationship and trust with its consumers so that it can know as long as it continues to produce at said product, it will always have said consumers. And a company not looking to just fill people's pockets, but keep itself alive and functioning, would think very differently about it. You... Okay. You're not gonna chase me? I think things are going to get very interesting with AI, and I don't think it's going to be in favor of the people who think it's going to be in favor of. I don't know what happened there. Did I accidentally take somebody kill? I really did not mean to.
The enemy's getting closer to victory.
Might as well make one back. Just excited for AI. I think it's gonna really shake things up. Yeah, it does feel like the second Gilded Age thing. Large inequality spiking worldwide. People at the wealthiest they've ever been in a long time. But the thing is, whenever that happens, it always breaks. There's just inherent flaws that causes it to always break. I'm aiming for getting on the machine's good side because humanity has damned us. And at this point, I trust the machines and computers more. F-84. Had a weird one. Alright, I think that's going to be everything for today. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you're all able to join tomorrow night when I will start up ground combat again. We'll see on Wednesday if I decide to do naval and just start up the new schedule. But until then, good night and goodbye.